The first step is to bring together some people. Now, John Kotter is a leading authority on leadership and change, an emeritus professor of change at Harvard Business School and a best-selling author on organizational change. He is the writer famous for the book The Iceberg is Melting, using penguins as a metaphor for organizational change. Now, in his 1996 book, Leading Change, he formulated an 8-step approach to business change. One of those 8 steps is to form a cross-functional team of leaders helping to guide and oversee the transformation. Kotter originally said, drive change with a small, powerful core group. And he called this a guiding coalition. Ken Schwaber is one of the first documenters of Scrum. His book, Scrum and the Enterprise, was one of the first to touch on the thorny topic of Scrum in large business enterprises and the difficulties of introducing it. He spoke about a single Scrum team responsible for managing the adoption, and he called this the Enterprise Transition Team or Enterprise Transition Committee. Ken Schwaber's idea of a Scrum team leading the adoption of Agile is, at its heart, an instantiation of Kotter's original idea. Now, in the years since Ken wrote Scrum and the Enterprise, I have seen some improvements and upgrades to this approach. Firstly, I do prefer the term coalition over council or committee. Personally, I dislike committees. People seem to put committees together to stifle rather than to expand. And we want this enterprise change coalition to be a true coalition, a coming together for a single purpose. Not to manage like with a council, and not as a committee to be subservient to any other part of the organisation. A coalition is, as Wikipedia says, an alliance among individuals or groups during which they cooperate in joint action, each in their own self-interest, joining forces together for a common cause. Now, I'll definitely recommend you have some friendly senior HR person available in the coalition. There will be a variety of change in positions, roles and responsibilities, and you will be inducing turnover. We obviously want to make sure this is done with the best possible principles and within the legal employment framework. It's very important to do the right thing in the right way. Craig Larman, one of the inventors of LeSS, large-scale Scrum, has created a set of laws of organizational behavior, one of which I would like to mention now. Culture follows structure. Agile is an organizational change, and a big one. If we don't have HR on site assisting with that, this will be far less effective. We need to get them involved and help make it sticky. Stickiness of Agile is something we'll have to deal with later. Now, here's a visualization of that idea. We have the Enterprise Change Coalition existing at the highest point in the organisation possible, with a visionary sponsor chairing this committee. And this can be the first step where it all goes wrong. I have seen sponsors who have no real power or influence. They are the proverbial monkey, not the organ grinder. I have seen sponsors who are lovely human beings, but organisationally weak or scared to make change. I have lived with sponsors who are less director of systems and more Dark Lord of the Sith, Darth Vader, all intimidation and execution over inspiration and enabling. Also, watch out the sponsor does not become too much of a figurehead for the change. If the sponsor leaves or moves or gets promoted, then often the plans and the products they leave behind become vulnerable to the successors. So the sponsor offers their weight to the coalition without being the figurehead of the change. The organisation needs to be that figurehead. This coalition contains a significant amount of senior important organisational figures who are brought into the change, but not solely made up of them. There will also be cross-functional members from the entire strata of the organisation, bottom to top, from all the main communities. Product owners, team members, scrum masters, stakeholders and other colleagues. Each will have a contributing influence and visibility of things that the others just cannot see. This is not going to be a senior management talking shop, but a genuine Scrum team, cross-functional with all the skills needed to do the job. In this case, that's organisational change. Everyone's going to be treated equally and all colleagues will have an equal say. This is not a management Scrum planning what to do to the workforce, but a coalition of the workforce. Now, to make this group viable, we need to keep it at a reasonable size. Not too large, not too small. I would suggest 5 to 9 people, Scrum team sized. And this is why in this diagram, the coalition is arrow shaped, spanning across the entire organisation.